blood type, diet, and cancer risk. What research is revealing? Most of us know our blood type only for hospital forms or emergency situations. But what if that simple letter, A, B, AB, or O, could quietly influence your long-term health? Even your risk of serious diseases like cancer. For years, scientists have debated whether blood type plays a role in inflammation, immune response, and disease development. Some studies suggest subtle links, others raise important questions. In this video, we're separating myths from real science, exploring what researchers actually know about blood type and cancer risk, and, more importantly, what you can do with this information to protect your health. Stay with us, because this might change how you think about your own body. Most people believe cancer is caused by bad luck, genetics, or something completely out of their control. But what if part of the risk comes from something you consume every single day? Something that feels normal, harmless, and even common in modern diets. In recent years, a provocative idea has gained massive attention online: that certain foods may increase cancer risk depending on your blood type. According to this claim, what is safe for one person could be harmful for another, and, in some cases, even fuel disease at a cellular level. Today's video takes a deep dive into that idea. We'll explore what foods are often labeled as cancer-causing, why blood type diets became so popular, what science actually says about the connection between food, blood type, and cancer, and most importantly, what you should realistically avoid if your goal is long-term health and longevity. This is not about fear, it's about clarity. And by the end of this video, you may look at everyday food choices very differently. Where the blood type diet idea comes from. The concept of eating according to blood type didn't appear out of nowhere. It became popular in the 1990s through books and alternative health movements that suggested each blood type evolved under different environmental conditions. According to this theory, people with different blood types digest food differently, react to stress differently, and respond uniquely to certain nutrients. Blood type O was often described as the hunter type, supposedly better suited for animal protein. Blood type A was portrayed as more agricultural, thriving on plant-based diets. Blood type B was associated with dairy tolerance, while AB was considered a mix of all types. Over time, this theory expanded. Some proponents began linking blood type not just to digestion, but to inflammation, immune response, and even cancer risk. Certain foods were labeled as dangerous or cancer-feeding for specific blood types. The idea was powerful because it felt personalized. Instead of one-size-fits-all advice, it suggested your body had a unique biological blueprint. But powerful ideas are not always accurate ones. The claim of cancer-feeding foods, one of the most emotionally charged claims in blood type-based nutrition, is the idea that some foods actively feed cancer cells. These foods are often described as inflammatory, acidic, or metabolically harmful. The foods most commonly accused include ultra-processed foods, refined sugars, processed meats, excessive alcohol, and refined carbohydrates. In blood type diet narratives, these foods are sometimes framed as especially dangerous for certain blood types, increasing vulnerability to cancers such as stomach cancer, pancreatic cancer, or colorectal cancer. The logic behind this claim often sounds convincing. Cancer cells consume large amounts of glucose. Processed foods raise blood sugar. Therefore, these foods feed cancer. But biology is more complex than that. Cancer cells do consume glucose, but so do healthy cells. The problem is not glucose itself, but metabolic imbalance, chronic inflammation, insulin resistance, and hormonal disruption, all of which are influenced by diet patterns, not blood type alone. This distinction matters. What science actually says about blood type and cancer? When researchers examine cancer risk, they look for consistent patterns across large populations. While blood type has been linked to slight differences in risk for certain diseases, the evidence connecting blood type-specific diets to cancer prevention is weak. Large systematic reviews have found no strong scientific proof that following a diet based on blood type improves health outcomes or reduces cancer risk. In fact, most benefits people experience from blood type diets come from eliminating processed foods and eating more whole foods, changes that benefit everyone, regardless of blood type. That said, some studies have observed small correlations between blood type and certain cancers. For example, blood type A has been linked to a slightly higher risk of gastric cancer, while blood type O may have a slightly lower risk. But these associations are modest and influenced by many other factors such as diet quality, smoking, alcohol consumption, and gut health. Blood type alone does not determine what food causes cancer in your body. Ultra-processed foods, the real common denominator. If there is one category of food that consistently appears in cancer research, it is ultra-processed food. Ultra-processed foods are industrial formulations made with refined ingredients, additives, emulsifiers, preservatives, artificial flavors, and excessive sugar, salt, or fat. Examples include packaged snacks, sugary cereals, processed meats, fast food, sweetened beverages, and ready-to-eat meals. Multiple large studies across Europe and North America have shown that higher consumption of ultra-processed foods is associated with increased risk of colorectal cancer, breast cancer, and overall mortality. This relationship exists regardless of blood type. Ultra-processed foods promote chronic inflammation, disrupt gut microbiota, impair insulin sensitivity, and increase oxidative stress, all conditions that create an environment where cancer is more likely to develop and progress. In other words, if Terry is a cancer-feeding food category, it is ultra-processed food, not food matched to a blood group. Sugar, insulin, and metabolic dysfunction. Another major theme in cancer discussions is sugar. Cancer cells rely heavily on glucose for energy, a phenomenon known as the Warburg effect. This has led to the belief that sugar directly causes cancer. The reality is more nuanced. Sugar itself does not cause cancer, but excessive sugar intake contributes to obesity, insulin resistance, and chronic inflammation, all strong risk factors for cancer. When insulin levels remain high for long periods, growth signals in the body increase. This environment can encourage abnormal cell growth and reduce the body's ability to regulate damaged cells. Again, this process occurs in all blood types. The issue is not your blood type's reaction to sugar, but how often your metabolism is pushed into a state of overload. Processed meat and cancer risk. Processed meats such as sausages, bacon, ham, and deli meats have been classified by the World Health Organization as Group 1 carcinogen, meaning there is strong evidence linking them to cancer, particularly colorectal cancer. This classification is based on consistent findings across multiple populations. Processed meats contain compounds like nitrites, and heterocyclic amines that can damage DNA and promote tumor formation. No evidence suggests that processed meat is safe for one blood type and dangerous for another. The risk applies broadly. The role of inflammation and the immune system. Cancer does not develop overnight. It is the result of years, sometimes decades, of accumulated damage, and chronic inflammation plays a central role in this process. Diets high in processed foods, refined carbohydrates, and unhealthy fats increase inflammatory signaling in the body. This inflammation impairs immune surveillance, the system that identifies and destroys abnormal cells before they become tumors. Blood type may influence immune response slightly, but lifestyle factors overwhelmingly dominate cancer risk. What you eat daily matters far more than the letters on your blood type card. Why the blood type diet feels so convincing. Personalized health advice feels empowering. It makes people feel seen and understood. Blood type diets tap into that desire for individual meaning. They also often work temporarily because they remove harmful foods and encourage structure. But correlation is not causation. People feel better because they eat fewer processed foods, not because their blood type suddenly aligns with evolutionary destiny. What you should actually avoid, regardless of blood type. If your goal is to reduce cancer risk and support longevity, the most consistent advice from science is clear. Avoid ultra-processed foods as much as possible. Limit processed meats, reduce excessive sugar and refined carbohydrates, moderate alcohol intake, prioritize whole foods, fiber-rich plants, healthy fats, and minimally processed protein sources. Support gut health. Maintain metabolic balance. Move your body regularly. These habits protect everyone. The danger of oversimplified health claims. The idea that there is number one cancer-causing food for your blood type is seductive, but misleading. Cancer risk is shaped by patterns, not single foods. By habits, not shortcuts, oversimplified narratives can distract from what truly matters. Long-term dietary patterns, lifestyle, consistency, and systemic health. A more empowering truth. The truth is both simpler and more empowering than blood type myths suggest. You don't need to decode your genetics to protect your health. You don't need to fear one specific food. You need awareness, consistency, and balance. Your body is remarkably resilient, and the choices that support longevity are often the most boring, the most repetitive, and the most human. Not magic. Not personalized by blood type, just supported by decades of science. If you found this video helpful, take a moment to reflect on what you eat most often, not what you eat occasionally. Because cancer prevention doesn't start with your blood type, it starts with your daily habits.